Good morning, just about afternoon. Could we go ahead and start the housekeeping, please?
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-3247. That's 909-396-3247. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
Well, again, good afternoon. I want to welcome everyone to our Technology Committee meeting. Just about noon here, so we'll go ahead and start our call to order and roll call.
Supervisor Hadman? Mayor Locke-Dawson? Absent. Mayor McCowan?
Here.
Board Member Padilla-Campos?
Here.
Supervisor Wagner?
I'm here.
Chair Rodriguez?
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Thank you. And I want to welcome Supervisor Wagner to our Technology Committee. We're looking forward to working with you on the great agenda today, and thanks for your efforts. We'll move on to our action item number 1.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
we have announcements we have to make.
Oh, please go right ahead, Mayor.
On agenda item number 1, I don't have a financial interest, but I'm required to identify for the record that I am chair of the Mobile Source Air Pollution Reduction Committee, which is involved in this item.
Thank you. Do we have any other announcements?
I guess I should ditto it, but my staff said no conflicts, but I'm on that too. I'm not chair though. There we go.
Thank you, Supervisor. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, for item number 2, I don't have a financial interest either, but am required to identify for the record that I'm a supervisor for the County of Orange, which is involved in this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no other announcements, we'll go to action item number 1, execute contracts to develop and demonstrate Class 2B/3 and Class 4-5 medium-duty battery electric trucks. We have a staff report.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair, member of the committee. I'm Sam Chow. I'm a program supervisor in the demonstration group. So good to be here. Thanks for seeing everyone again. The first agenda item is to execute contract to develop, demonstrate, and deploy Class 2B/3 work trucks. And we have a second project to develop fast charging, medium duty Class 4-5 battery electric vehicles. Next slide. Before we go into the project, the California fleets are being transitioned to zero emissions, mainly due to the 2 regulations. The ACT, the Advanced Clean Trucks, that puts zero emission sales mandate starting as soon as 2024 on manufacturers. Then we'll have a zero emission mandate on the fleet side, the ACF, the Advanced Clean Fleet, that start phasing in zero emission new purchases, also starting as soon as this year. As a result, in the last couple of years, we have quite a few zero emission options showing up. I cropped this slide from the ACF workshop recently for our interest, Class 2B/3 and Class 4 and 5. You can see a wide variety of zero emission options there. But there's still notable gaps. One particular gap is in the Class 2B/3. So this is the F250 and the F350s you see in the like SCE, so-called gas, your city municipalities. There's no zero emission option available. All the option you see up there They are delivery vans for your parcel delivery applications. Another one in general is medium duty vehicles needs faster charging in general. Most of these trucks are serving various applications. They have a long dwell time in the evening. That works fine for fleets that has a less demanding duty cycle that can do the overnight charging. But DC-wise, these trucks can typically charge at a relatively slower rate that takes an hour or two or even longer for DC fast charging. So in fact, back in March, the board approved a project to fast charge Class 7 and 8. So one of the projects today will be doing this for medium duty vehicles. Next slide. So here's the first project. The project is with Vo2 Motors, the Sunnyvale, California-based company, started in Argentina, will be developing, demonstrate, and deploy 10 Class 3 Ford F-350 battery electric work trucks with City of Riverside. The 10 trucks will be converted from F-350, the new Ford F-350 chassis platforms. Because this is the new project, part of the project is to develop this platform, validate, and to achieve CARB certification so city can operate these in their fleet. The City of Riverside has graciously agreed to take these 10 vehicles. Half will be with Riverside Public Utility, another 10 will be, there's a correction, it should be City of Riverside. So as part of this pilot project, we'll be doing data logging and analysis with UC Riverside CSER. They will be doing some performance reporting for the duration of this project, as well as total cost of ownership will be reporting at a later time. Next slide. The next two slides are for fast charging Class 4 and 5 battery electric trucks. As I said earlier, these trucks typically charge very slow. So the phase one of this project is with Innovate Corporation. They're Irvine, California-based battery technology developer. They're boasting over 680 IP intellectual property and also patents, and that includes both awarded and pending. They have developed this silicon-dominated anode technology that allows a tighter packaging, faster charging, so you can fit more battery cell into the same package, and superior cold weather performance. So the goal of this project is for Innovate to integrate the battery cell into a pack that's usable for a medium-duty truck, and the target is to achieve 15 minutes to hit 80% of charge, so truly like a gas station stop. Yeah. The pack will be validated by UC Irvine's Horiba Institute of Mobility and Connectivity to provide third-party independent testing to see if the performance truly what the state is. Next slide. So the second phase of this project is for Evo Electric. Evo Electric is a company here, again, locally based in Rancho Dominguez. That's in South Bay area. They're a company focused on retrofitting existing diesel truck into an electric truck platform. So as this project, Evo Electric is going to donate in kind one of the Isuzu Class 4-5 electric truck platform. The project will be integrating this Innovate battery pack that's validated by UC Irvine into the track platform, and we have partnered up with SBR Express. SBR Express is a last mile delivery company based in Ontario. We'll be doing a 6-month demonstration with this particular truck with the fast charging battery. If this is successful, this will be one of the fastest charging medium duty trucks that's on market today. Next slide. Circling back to the first project, this is the proposed project cost for the Vo2 project. The total project cost is $2.2 million. The request is for $600,000 grant funding. Again, the South Coast AQMD and the MSRC has partnered up to cost share dollar for dollar for this particular project, each $300,000. And this particular item has been already, including the next one, has been reviewed at the MSRC Tech meeting October 3rd, and will be reviewed again in the MSRC meeting next week. Next slide. Here's the proposed together project cost for the Innovate and Evo Electric project. The total project cost is $1.7 million. Again, we thank for MSRC's support on this particular project that's matching the South Coast dollar for dollar, and it will be heard in the MSRC meeting on the 27th of next week, next Thursday. Next slide. The recommended actions are to execute contract with Vo2 for the 10 F-350 deployment with City of Riverside. and for Innovate to develop the battery pack validated with UC Irvine and to demonstrate the fast charging medium duty truck with Live Electric. With that, that's the presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your report, and I'll open it up to any questions that we have, colleagues.
Just a
Mayor?
comment, if I might. I'm glad to see that you changed the chart to recognize the fact that we haven't taken action yet at MSRC. Thank you.
Okay, Board Member Padilla-Campos?
Thank you. I'm just curious, but besides really prioritizing the fast charging, are there other priorities to these batteries, like less waste, more recyclable, or maybe making it smaller? Are there other priorities in developing this stuff?
Aaron, let me. So I'm assuming you're referring to the Innovate, the second project. Yeah. So there's going to be multiple components. One, we're engaging with a local company that's developing the battery IP within America. I mean, in Irvine, they're an Irvine-based company in the research park. We're partnering up to demonstrate the first time to put it into a medium-duty vehicle, because historically, these suppliers have not been, the medium-duty vehicle haven't been able to charge fast here. So this is the very first step, but the things you mentioned, safety and things like that, will be validated with UC Irvine and as part of the demonstration.
Thank you.
Let's see if there's any public comment.
Chair, we have one commenter online, Harvey Etter.
Okay. Hello, Harvey.
Hello. Am I being heard?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Harvey Etter. I'm the founder and director of Public Solar Power Coalition, PSPC, speaking for myself and for PSPC and like-minded folk. I want to incorporate by reference. Okay. There's a need now. This is like, 10 vehicles, 20 vehicles. Somewhere on here, there's a proposal for 22 million and 20 million. Okay. So I didn't hear that in here. And there was another, 1.8. Anyway, it's very important. We did a study for the PUC 45 years ago called the Low Income Solar Equity Program. It was at UC a thesis, all right? It was how to leverage like home ownership and ownership in a business, a solar business and whatnot, into equity. Okay, it was never evaluated by the district, by CARB, or by the PUC, or by EPA. Okay, we're incorporating that by reference. It's got to be part of the 100 exhibits we put in the solar New Deal. The sunshot modeled after the moonshot. That was under Kennedy in 63, 62. That's how we got to the moon. Mux wouldn't be up there if it wasn't for that. Okay, but this stuff was totally ignored, no due process. So, and equity, CEQA, it should not be exempt from CEQA. Under CEQA, and Assemblyperson Layla, it's socioeconomic. A subpart of that is political economic. That's control, decision making. Who's going to own it and control it? Worker co-ops, the local government, the unions, etc. This has to be part of 617. All of 617 are subparts of the Solar New Deal, the 16 plan for that we did in conjunction with Dr. Burke. And we're incorporating again the February 8th meeting of the administration committee, about an hour long. That discussion on this and the Solar New Deal, and that it should have been studied. We were directed to study. We got that information back. We were run out of court by the federal marshals and the FBI. It's outrageous. Okay, so this has to be part. It can't be exempt from CEQA, and equity is major. Right now, I'm incorporating the record in COP 29 and 28 because that was a sellout to fossil fuel industries and the Arabs, etc. Enough. And that's what's happening in the Middle East. That's the overview. Okay, let's be real. Okay, so this stuff has to be. So also, your downloads from last week, and we brought this up, and now it wasn't available on Tuesday. We just got to see it late yesterday and today. It's illegal, violation of the Brown Act. Anyway, we're going to reserve a little bit of time, and it should be 3 minutes on each thing. You're stifling and retaliating against truth tellers, and that's what we are and have been for decades. You all know it. Enough for now.
Okay, thank you for your comments. I'll bring it back. We had a motion from Supervisor Hagman. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, but I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
These three companies, do they all have a track record, or is this the first venture they're doing?
First project with all three of them.
First project with all three of them. They haven't done anything else.
Not
Yeah.
with South Coast AQMD.
These are very new companies and startups, so it's a little bit outside of our bounds, but we are taking a risk and they are local companies.
Okay, because it's a lot of money, but understand. Thank you.
And when will we be expecting to get an update to the committee on the progress of each of these projects? Be great to kind of hear back on the progress. When would we anticipate that?
So the VO2 project is going to be fast track. Again, this is a deployment project. We
Mhm.
expect to see CARB certification in Q1 of next year, and the units be deployed by end of this year. So perhaps you want to hear after they've been in service for a while how they work. So by beginning of 2026, we should have a report back to you. The end of the project is a little bit longer term, but we do expect the UC Hariba, the UCI Hariba testing results be mid next year, and demonstration following after that.
Well, it'd be great to be able to hear some related update before the beginning of 2026, if possible. So just if we can get something sooner, that would be great, just on how things are progressing in general. One other question: do we have a sense of what the cost implications for the types of trucks going through this process, if they can be successful and get into market, what that price point might be in comparison to kind of a typical diesel truck?
Yeah, it's probably a little early to say what that would be based on the battery technology. And, the retrofit should bring the price down because, as noted from these companies, there's a lot of these chassis around, especially on the box trucks. There's still a lot of useful life on the truck chassis. So we'll have to look and see, and hopefully maybe when we have the update, we could provide that to the board.
A general ballpark range, what it might be?
Not able to say right now.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and call for our vote, please.
Supervisor Hagman,
Hagman, aye.
Mayor Dawson, absent. Mayor McCallum,
Yes,
Board Member Padilla-Campos,
Yes.
Supervisor Wagner,
Aye.
and Chair Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes with 5 ayes.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. We'll go to item 2, execute contracts to implement zero emissions infrastructure projects under Carl Moyer and Community Air Protection Programs. And we have Mr. Lee with a report.
Hi, good afternoon, Committee and Chair. My name is Tom Lee. I'm one of the managers here in the Technology Advancement Office. And this item is to execute contracts and redistribute funds for zero emission infrastructure projects for the Carl Moyer and CAP programs. Next slide, please. First, a little background. South Coast AQMD closed a zero emission infrastructure solicitation in spring of 2024 and had really good response. We received 67 independent projects and $390 million roughly dollars worth of requested funding. Well, after staff evaluated the applications, it whittled down to roughly $340 million to be fundable, and that is still makes this program very oversubscribed. Approximately $109 million from the Carl Moyer and CAP programs have been made available, and this includes accrued interest from these programs. A portion of this $109 million came from the obligated contracts because of withdrawn projects. And there have been a high number of these withdrawn projects in the last couple of years because of COVID and also its impact on the economy. Next slide, please. Now, for the project selections, we prioritize hydrogen refueling projects because, as you may know, we just received an EPA CPRG grant, and that has a high component, dollar amount component, $190 million roughly, for heavy-duty charging. And we expect to be able to shift some of the charging projects to the CPRG program. There were a total of 8 hydrogen project applications. Staff is recommending to fund 7 of them. This will add about 30 fueling dispensers in the air basin And these dispensers will support all vehicle types ranging from light duty passenger vehicles to heavy duty trucks. Staff is also proposing to award 21 electric infrastructure projects. This will add over 800 charging connections in the Air Basin. Among these 21 projects, 2 are for public school district to charge electric school buses. 2 projects are near the port to support cargo equipment cargo handling equipment charging. And then there's one project to electrification of an irrigation pump at a farm that's in Coachella Valley. And the rest of the project in 21 are primarily for vehicle charging with a heavy focus on heavy duty. Now, this leaves us with 34 backup projects on the list, but these can still be funded when more funds become available. And as I mentioned earlier, some of these 33 or 34 are charging projects, so we expect to be able to ship some of these to our CPRG grant. Okay, next slide, please. These projects have many benefits to the South Coast AQMD. They will add a good number of heavy-duty chargers and hydrogen refueling stations along our trade corridor. Many of them are close to the ports, and the majority of them are close to the freeways. This map here is a little small, but hopefully you can see the blue dots represent the hydrogen refueling projects, and the yellow dot are the charging projects. 12 of the total of, I think, 21 plus 7, about 30 projects, 12 of them are located within 617 communities, and 93% are in disadvantaged communities. Now, for the emission reduction estimates, what we did was we used the assumption that the stations will be fully utilized, and the vehicles and the equipment that uses them had replaced diesel equivalents. Now, with that assumption, we calculated roughly 487 tons of NOx and 7 tons of particulate matter to be reduced annually. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, staff recommends execution of contracts not to exceed the amount shown on the slide, and also to execute contracts for backup list when funds become available. Staff also recommends the redistribution of funds if necessary, to accommodate timely liquidation of funds before they expire. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you for that report. I'll open it up to any questions.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Supervisor.
Thank you. I do have a couple of questions or issues. The county of Orange was told that one of the criteria for why there was not an award to us, we're on kind of the overflow list, was because of vehicle size, that it wasn't a lot of heavy-duty vehicles involved in our proposals. And as I look at the list of awardees, none seem to me to fall under the definition of heavy-duty vehicles. Penske Truck Leasing, for example, leases consumer-sized cargo vans and trucks that you can drive with a Class C license. Pilot Travel Centers, which is Flying J, is a gas station. So I would assume anyone can use the fueling station. What are we using, or what are we considering to be medium duty versus heavy duty? It doesn't make the distinction within who was sort of awarded or not.
Yeah, Supervisor, I'm not familiar with the County of Orange project, but for the most part, the Carl Moyer program focuses on replacing diesel vehicles. And so these zero emission installations for charging and for fueling are mostly focused on diesel vehicles. So the medium duty size, when you get up beyond the, say the 1 ton, pickup trucks, that basically leads into diesel powertrains.
Well, let me help you, because it's right there in the staff report table. Let me find it. I think it's table 4. The list of backup projects out of Fund 88 there are three from Orange County, one on Glassell, one on Grand, one in Santa Ana. Those are the projects that were backup. The ones that got awarded, again, we were told why we didn't get the original awards and are now on the backup list. It has to do with the heavy duty, et cetera, distinction. I'm just not sure what you were really looking at. And we want to know so that next time we can be more competitive.
So let me add that the Penske projects are slated to be heavy duty. They lease both medium heavy duty and heavy duty trucks, and these are for either the medium heavy duty and heavy duty customers. Pilot J may operate gas stations right now that are for passenger vehicles, but this project for the hydrogen fueling stations will be for heavy duty.
Okay. And how are you defining heavy duty?
Heavy duty would be able to support trucks that are mainly the tractors with the container, with the container already on board. So those would have a gross vehicle weight rating of 33,001 and above.
Isn't heavy duty defined as class 7 or 8 with 26,000 pounds? And those are things like garbage trucks, livestock transports, 18-wheelers, et cetera. Penske's driving those?
Well, first of all, the reason why we have to focus on heavy duty, which is the class I described, is because the footprint and the traffic that allows them to go in and out of the station is a bit different from class 7. Class 7 trucks max out at 33,000 pounds. That's the maximum capacity. The heavy duty starts at 33,001. They can go all the way up to 80,000 pounds gross vehicle rating. So you can imagine the size differences on them. Currently, there aren't too many infrastructure out there that can accommodate heavy duty, as I mentioned with this weight class, because of the ingress issues that we have with them. In addition, they need very fast chargers because of the weight. As you can see, as you can imagine, they need fast chargers to be able to accommodate the workload. Class 7 to us and Class 6 are a tier lower. They can be accommodated a lot easier because they're fractions of the total weight of a heavy-duty truck.
Well, all right, and again, maybe it's my newness and naivete, but the definition of heavy duty, you weren't using what's in the vehicle code and elsewhere. You've got your own that you're now calling heavy duty. Because heavy duty is gross vehicle weight 26,000 or above, and you're looking at all I want to know is how do we make sure that everybody is on a level playing field the next time something like this comes out? We're all using the same definitions, et cetera. Can we get a look at the scoring of those who won versus those who are on the backup list? Just want to make sure I have a level playing field here.
Yeah, absolutely. All the scorings can be available. We have it tabulated. And also, just because it's on the backup list does not mean it won't be funded. As I mentioned earlier, we do expect quite a bit of funding to be freed up, and we can take on some of the backup list projects in the very near future.
Right, but you do admit it would be better to be on the first list than the backup list.
Well, I think I mentioned that this is oversubscribed, and all we could do is go with our criteria that's published in the program announcement and go with our best list that we can fund with 109 million.
All right. Well, I am going to want to see if I can get that scoring into my office so we can take a look at it. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor. Other comments, colleagues, before we go to public comment? Okay, let's go ahead and see if we do have any public comment requests in the queue.
We have Harvey Eder. I believe he has 15 seconds left, 11 seconds.
Okay, let's take his comment. Hello, Mr. Eder.
Hello, am I being heard? Yes?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm talking for myself and Public Solar Power Coalition. This is under protest. We should have 3 minutes on each item, especially those of us that have been around for 50 years doing this stuff, all right? Enough, okay? So, anyway, I don't know.
Okay, that is the allotted time. We'll see if we have any other public comment in the queue. Seeing none, we'll bring it back. And any other comments before we entertain a motion?
Approval. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Before we take a vote, just as far as the locations of the hydrogen stations and the 21 electric charging stations, can you give us a sense of where those are geographically, and give us some sense of how those locations were prioritized?
Yeah, Chair, in the presentation, there's a map that shows on the yellow and blue dots, and they are focused. We try to focus them geographically and near the corridors for drayage and for the corridors that also leave the basin.
Okay, in the two school districts, for example?
Yeah, I think we have on there LAUSD and I think Moreno Valley Unified. Moreno Valley Unified is on there.
So when we have these infrastructure opportunities, is there kind of a general master plan of ideal strategic locations we're looking for electric charging stations? Just in general, trying to get a better sense of how we're making these selections as part of a broader strategy. So is there kind of a reference plan that we're plugging in now 21 stations?
So Chair, just a couple of things on that. It depends on the program. So this program was under the Carl Moyer guidelines. And there is requirements, it's a pretty straightforward, or not straightforward, but very strict set of guidelines that are pretty lengthy. And the solicitations are very competitive. So we have to receive the projects, to know about them. But we go look to the process, there are requirements like, funding in disadvantaged communities. And then we also have the corridor maps from Caltrans, from the U.S. Department of Transportation on where we need to place these chargers. LA Metro and, Southern California Association of Governments is working on a plan on where these chargers should be placed, or hydrogen fueling structures, installations.
And in addition, I want to add that since 41 million of the available funding were from the CAP funds, some of these projects we select has to be either within the community or in very close proximity to them. So as you know, there are only 6 CAP communities, so that limits also how to use these CAP funds.
And how soon would we see these stations completed, and when do we anticipate them being operational?
They vary. One of the scores, we give higher scores to ones that are ready. For example, the charging projects, if they already have power established, the utility company can provide the power, they're scored higher. We expect to start contracting in the first quarter of 2025, and which means they can start work right away in Q1. And some of these can be commissioned as early as early 2026, but some will have a longer timeline, and infrastructure projects can take a long time. Some can go as long as 2027, 2028.
So these projects will range from being operational between 2026 and 2028?
Starting 2026, early 2026 to all the way to 2028, yes.
Okay, and we have a sense that there'll be the hydrogen supply available and the capacity available on the electricity side as far as each of these projects?
Well, and as I mentioned, those are some of the scoring criteria. If they show a plan that they have the electricity or the supply plan for the hydrogen, they're scored higher. So most of these that we selected would be because most of the scoring are on the high side, so they qualify as the charging projects. But as I mentioned, hydrogen we funded 7 out of the 8 applications because we're focusing on hydrogen infrastructure for this solicitations because we have the other grant that we can shift some of the charging projects to.
I'm assuming part of the criteria, if these could have been done earlier than 2028, then that would have scored better. This is the best we could do, I suppose. It'd just be great if we could have them all done by next year.
Chair, just to note that when we released this RFP back in December of early last year, we did have a fast track option that if they were ready to go sooner than later, and they had the power and they're ready to go, we could fund them through the board approval process that was issued back in December. And we funded 4 projects, and Mayor McAllen did the groundbreaking of the Green Lane project over in Colton just this last August.
And just finally, how quickly do the projects need to be started and completed before money is allocated to another standby project?
The different pot of funds have different liquidation deadlines. So what we try to do is we align the funds that have a shorter liquidation deadline with the projects that can complete earlier. The good news is most CARB funding have now extensions allowed extra 2 years to liquidate. So that gives us a little more flexibility, especially for infrastructure projects, because they do take a long time.
Finally, before we take a vote, I would appreciate thanks in advance to staff in providing the information requested by Supervisor Wagner and all of us collectively to, again, we can ensure that moving forward we have as clear and transparent a process as possible. So with that, we'll go ahead and take the vote.
Supervisor Hagman? Mayor Locke Dawson? Absent. Mayor McAllen?
Yes.
Board Member Padilla-Campos?
Yes.
Supervisor Wagner?
Aye.
And Chair Rodriguez?
Yes?
Okay, motion passes 5 ayes.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to item 3, execute sponsorship agreement to support workforce training and professional development of electric vehicles and battery engineers. We have a staff report. Hello.
Members of the committee, my name is Vasilios Papapostolou, and I'm the Technology Demonstration Manager here at South Coast. Last item for the day, item 3, execute sponsorship agreement to support workforce training and professional development of electric vehicle and battery engineers. Next slide, please. By way of background, Department of Energy and Stellantis recently launched the Battery Workforce Challenge competition. It's a public-private partnership that will train the next generation of technicians, engineers, and workers to address the unprecedented demand for battery electric workforce. This challenge, this competition selected 12 universities across the nation, one of which is the California State University of Los Angeles, to participate in this Battery Workforce Challenge. The students participating in this competition will have a unique opportunity to gain real-world research experience in the development of extremely complex advanced vehicle technologies. As far as Cal State, the team there consists of about 70 students. 45 of them are within Cal State, and another 25 students are coming from a partnership that Cal State has with the Cerritos Community College. So collectively, 70 students overseen by 5 faculty in the electrical, mechanical, and technology engineering departments. Next slide, please. So the Cal State Fullerton, the Cal State Los Angeles has secured over 500,000 in funding, about 900,000 altogether. And the sponsors that have been involved in this kind of funding are the College of Engineering, Computer Science and Technology, and also the SICAN Center for Sustainable and Intelligent Infrastructure. So the successful completion of this challenge will enable the students to land high top jobs from the nation's leading automotive and battery companies. And with this, the goal here is to design, build, test, and integrate an advanced battery pack on a 2024 Ram ProMaster work van that you see at the bottom photo there, and have that battery pack integrated with that van. It's been designed to host a battery pack already, so the team is working on developing the advanced version of that battery pack that will go onto the van. This is used with commercial applications, and in the group photo there, you see a subgroup of the 70+ team members, students and faculty, and in the first row on the left-hand side, there is Miss Isabel Builes. We have the honor to have her with us today here. She's a second-year master's student in mechanical engineering, and she's specializing in the optimization of thermal management systems for electric vehicles. And she's the boots on the ground, the project manager for this project at the Cal State LA, and she oversees that large team of 70 students between Cal State LA and the Cerritos Community College. So with that, staff is proposing to sponsor this competition to cover for items such as vehicle parts, equipment, and software tools. Again, 900,000 has been secured, and then we are recommending to support them with some additional funding. Next slide, please. So the recommended action is to authorize our executive officer to execute a sponsorship agreement with the California State University of Los Angeles in an amount not to exceed $150,000 from the Clean Fuels Program Fund. Thank you.
Thank you for the report. I'll take any questions from colleagues. Supervisor?
Not really a question, but a comment.
Okay.
I'm supportive of the 150,000. Obviously, it's not going to make a big change in our budget either way, but I do know that I sit on multiple other committees and boards and other departments that all have millions of dollars for workforce training. You know, starting off with the county's workforce investment boards. We sit on an IRAN that, as you know, got a ton of money for workforce training. I just want to make sure we stay within our lane a little bit. You know, this demonstration project's not that big a deal, but we have other silos that are really focused on this workforce training. They have state funds and federal funds for that as well. And I'm just wanting the thought process of getting into that lane going forward.
Yeah, Supervisor, I'm not aware of those other funding sources for these types of competitions. In the past, we've sponsored these university competitions like the EcoCar Challenge, Solar Decathlon. And I don't know, Isabel's she's been fundraising for her project, and I'm sure she's probably worked with the professors and scouring where the funding might be available. But, this is within our realm that it is part of the Technology Advancement Office annual report and plan update is try to get this workforce available to do these installations and design these new vehicles.
Have we seen for the past sponsorships, I guess, outcomes for us to utilize?
Yeah, so the Volvo Lights program was a really good example of that. We had Rio Hondo College, San Bernardino Valley College. They work with the diesel technician training programs there, and they kind of added a curriculum on zero emission powertrains for the Class 8 trucks. And if you talk to those colleges, those programs, those students are being hired across the country right now from the development of those programs.
Well, for the fundraiser, we do have federal workforce investment dollars that we're supposed to be partnering up with community colleges and third parties to be doing exactly what this does, help train the workforce to go forward. Last time I looked at our budget for that was, and Don, you can tell me what Orange County is, but it was in tens of millions of dollars for that. Also, I sit on the inland version of IRAN now, which I don't even know what IRAN stands out for completely, but I know a third of our budget from the dollars we're getting are supposed to go to the workforce. So it's someplace else to go out and look for some of these funds that go out so we could track. And I think it makes a little more significant difference if we're doing heavy investing into it. So at least those are two off the top of my head. Thank you.
Yeah, just one follow-up real quick. We are next month going to be going forward with our workforce development and training for the climate pollution reduction grant that we got from the US EPA. So there is a heavy component on there trying to get this workforce going to do the installations. And I think hopefully Isabel's making note that you might have some money,
And what I'm more saying, there's already institutionalized funding streams. We want to add our funding to that to go into expand those programs, but there's already those relationships with the community colleges, relationships with other nonprofits. And back when I was on it 25 years ago or whatever it was, we were looking for those emerging technologies because those are the best way to get people up and higher pay going forward. Completely support the mission. I'm just saying that there are entities doing that and put a lot of effort behind it. Maybe we direct them in there. If we add funding to go through that, we booster up those programs already. It's why we reinvent the wheel.
Thank you, Supervisor. And any other comment, colleagues, before we go to public comment? Okay, Board Member Padilla-Campos.
Just a comment. I think this is great. I love the diversity too of the team. This is a need that we've identified, and I don't know if maybe we can think about this in the future, but we also need technicians for electric bicycles. So just want to kind of put it out there in the universe, especially you're talking about other opportunities. But yeah, just wanted to mention that. And I think this is great. And would love to hear a report back after the event. Thank you.
So the team reports quarterly to the competition, and then it's a 3-year long competition.
Yes, I was going to ask about the duration of the competition and when would results be announced? Do we anticipate?
So we are now in the second year. It's a 3-year, there's 3 academic years. So it's ending in early summer of 2026. The team reports quarterly to the competition, and there is also a panel of judges that reviews and evaluates the work performed and the progress. And that's how we will go until the end of a 3-year project period.
Are there any milestones that are upcoming that we could just have a brief update on how things are progressing?
Yeah, Chair, maybe what we'll do is we'll have an update to the technology committee or another appropriate committee or meeting. And maybe we can ask Isabel or part of the team to provide that update.
Yeah, it'd be great to bring them back here since we're authorizing that funding, or at least recommending it potentially pending the vote here. Do the students, is this part of their class curriculum? Is it extracurricular that they're doing outside of class? Just curious as to the implications on their academic side of things.
The students are all volunteers, and they do this outside of their coursework. Okay. They don't receive any credit, but the benefit and the reward out of it is that they have been exposed to this kind of experience. They gain this expertise, and then they can use this in their resumes as an experience during the college years to land good jobs when they graduate from Cal State and also the community college.
So the 70 students, are they broken into several teams?
Yes. And
about how many do we have?
So there are 3 main areas that they're looking at. It's the hardware, it's the software, and then the mechanical components of the battery pack. So they're coming from the electrical engineering department, the mechanical engineering department, and the technology engineering department at Cal State. And also the teams that are coming from Cerritos are also divided up into 5 subgroups, 4 or 5 students per group. And they all together have like a very comprehensive structure on how they get involved in the work based on the major and what they focus on in their studies at the college and the university.
And do they have exposure to the industry as far as during this process? Are they, as far as the EV battery packs, and is there participation from the private sector in this competition?
They receive a lot of exposure through the process of the panel of judges evaluating their work on a quarterly basis. So those folks, those judges consist of industry experts from major companies, and they form a group that evaluates the work at intervals. And that's a good amount of exposure right there.
Mhm. Sorry to put you on the spot. Do you have a couple of those industry experts that are judges that you could mention?
By name or?
Just curious.
AVL and
So Isabel mentioned Eaton, so they make electrical equipment. ABB, Stellantis is donating the chassis for the competition. They're involved. So it brings together a lot of the industry and gives the students good exposure to the different industry areas.
Fantastic. Well, we'll go ahead and, seeing that there's no public comment,
Okay.
and we'll go ahead and call for the vote.
Supervisor Hagman, Mayor Locke Dawson, absent. Mayor McAllen,
Yes.
Board Member Padilla Campos,
Yes.
Supervisor Wagner,
Aye.
Chair Rodriguez.
Yes?
Okay, motion passes 5 ayes.
Thank you. Move on to other business. Colleagues, any comments on the matter of other business? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to our general public comment period. And do we have any public comments for those who have not already utilized their time?
We have one public commenter, Harvey Etter.
Okay.
Hello, am I
Mr.
being heard?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, that last comment directed at me is totally outrageous. We get 3 minutes here, all right? Straight up. I'm real pissed, man. Okay, here's the real. We're gonna lose in 5 years like a third, 25% of Social Security and Medi-Cal for people that are poor, and that's what controlled these elections. You had people with
Thank you,
without
Mr.
high
Head.
school
That's not within the purview of this committee.
This is over.
Okay, any other comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment, and that'll conclude our agenda for today. I want to thank colleagues and staff for your participation today, and also want to wish you all a wonderful Thanksgiving. Our next scheduled meeting, I understand we do have some business, so hopefully we'll be able to have a quorum on December 20th, and that will be at 9 a.m. Thank you so much. Take care.